Sapphire, I've invited you to speak. You want to accept that and jump up on stage?
There we go. How's it going?
Hello, guys. Can you guys hear me all right?
Good enough.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I did want to say, first and foremost, thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak. I've been watching you guys for a minute, and I appreciate your strategy. I appreciate your ethic. Especially I can't. If you guys can state for me your names and your YouTube channel, that way I can find you guys.
It's our names here and our YouTube. It's the same thing. 2-Day David, Pierce Watkins.
And that's it.
Got
I can just look.
That's
you.
it.
I looked up. I looked up Pierce. I just scrolled past it or something, but I'll give it another shot. Pierce Watkins, a 2-Day David. I appreciate you guys very much. I won't take a lot of you guys' time. I just been following along here. I hang out in the flat Earth room quite often. I'm not a flat earther myself, but I'm also not antagonistic to the group either. I find that what has been touched on here tonight, something that's getting me motivated to talk is that there is a pretty heavy animus, I think, on both sides, like you guys were just mentioning. People, we're tribalistic by our nature. So when people come in with outside ideas, ways of thinking, that kind of thing, it can almost be perceived as a threat sometimes. And I've had this personally, not just like on, the flat earth stuff. When I first started hanging out in the group, I thought a lot of these guys were intellectual. I thought a lot of these guys were really good at debate, as far as like the strategy and the polemics, the way that they argue. And, they're very interesting. And I was talking to some people in real life about it, and they were getting oddly defensive over the globe earth sort of mentality. Right? Just because I was having conversations with these guys. So I have noticed that where there is a sort of defensiveness over, these deeply held, beliefs that we have been taught them since childhood. So it makes a lot of sense that people have this cognitive dissonance when you say, oh, the earth's, flat or whatever. I will say, though, that a lot of people do come into the group, and because these guys are so skilled at what they do, a lot of globers, right? They fall into these easy traps. They'll say, I've seen it. I've gone up in the airplane. I saw the curvature." But then you have scientists who actually do know the field, who do know the science, who do know the math, that will say it's impossible to see the curvature with the naked eye, regardless of how high up you go. It's just that big, right? So I think that, just to hone in on the heart of what you guys are talking about, I feel like it'd be a lot more productive if people would just have, more honest conversations with each other rather than trying to catch each other out with some sort of gotcha and show like who knows more about whatever niche esoteric subject that they've got, on their plate. So like, you guys have been asking questions all night about like, worldviews and how these beliefs affect people and the way that they live in their life. And, honestly, I don't think that regardless of where you fall on this particular issue, whether it's globe or flat earth, I really genuinely don't believe it changes most people's lives all that much. And even the guys that have attested to like, these big sweeping changes in their life, like the spiritual outlook changing, the outlook on, their appreciation for life or for their family and stuff like that. While all that's good and positive, I'm kind of like of a mindset with you guys, 2-Day Dave and Pierce, that there could be, other reasons like the openness and the mindset, the willingness to challenge previously held beliefs and stuff like that kind of just comes with a sort of like spring cleaning of the mind, right? So, there's no reason to believe that if you are going to question some of these like long held beliefs, like why other changes wouldn't follow that, right? Especially if you're growing and becoming more responsible. So I think just as a last point, when I knock something off a table, I don't immediately think about gravity and all the consequences of gravity and the mathematic formulas and the scientific reality and how gravity's the magical force that not only is dragging my property off of my countertop, but is also keeping the planets within orbit of the sun and all that kind of stuff. I just think about how retarded I am for dropping my urn off the counter. In the same way, like when I pull up my GPS and I drive to someone's house, I don't think about the satellites that may or may not be flying around the Earth's atmosphere at millions of miles an hour or whatever like that. It doesn't cross my mind in the slightest. And I'm aware of these things, and I'm aware that, maybe the science of gravity has much more profound applications to the right person, to the expert. But for me, just as like the regular person who like, I'm not good at math. So like, whether you're a flat earther or you're a glober, you're not going to use a mathematic equation to convince me of the shape of the planet. I'm afraid of heights, so you're not going to strap me to a balloon and fly me up there. So regardless of where you guys fly on this issue, right? Like it doesn't really change like our regular pragmatic everyday life. There's some things that are outside of our control, but the most important thing that you guys have brought up all night, and is the reason why I'm going to go subscribe to both of your channels as soon as I exit here, is that we really need to be more cognizant of how we're approaching not just these topics, but the people that hold these beliefs, right? Because we are creating, out groups, and we are creating little niches. And I see it all the time when I do jump in the Flat Earth group, where there are people who join just to stir the pot, who are not good faith. And I can understand why these guys are defensive and feel the need to like, shut down when they see the red flags going up, because they really do deal with it all the time. And I think that it's not unique to them, but I think that, like you guys have said, if we all just take a step back, level up our compassion, and we question our own personal motivations for why we're asking what we're asking, why we're engaging in these conversations and stuff like that, I feel like they'll just be more productive in general.
Agreed. And people, I mean, most people are just trying to live their lives, and as you heard a lot of people say, I mean, they don't like the thought of people being lied to that they care about. They see something that seems to be very apparent, and they want to offer that kind of clarity to other people. I get it. Like, I mean, I'm. That's one of the reasons when Pierce was like, "You want to do the Flat Earth server? We know somebody." I'm like, "Yeah, sure." That's a group of people who are passionate. But you can tell one thing for sure: Flat Earth people are passionate. Like, I mean, they take the time to try to uncover as many things as possible because they care. For the most of them, I'm sure there's people who don't care, but I mean, to spend all this time trying to uncover secrets for the sake of making righting wrongs and all that stuff. I mean, you gotta have some sort of deep care for people. Whether or not I'm fully convinced of their proposition, I don't know, but I can totally be on board with the desire to try to make more rights in the world and find things that could potentially be harming people and eliminating them in some way.
No, absolutely. Pierce,
you're muted, Mike. I can't. I mean, yeah. Mike, your mic is muted, Pierce.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. I agree with what both of you said. And I think all of us here, everyone who's spoken here tonight, I think would agree with me that we would like to live in a world where everyone's needs are met. Period. Right? We like what's best for everybody.
Yeah, but let's. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, appreciate all the kind words there, Sapphire Scrab.
For sure. And if I can, before we go, just to address the Santa Claus issue. I feel like I've had, it's a pretty much a universal experience, right? Like my experience is your guys' experience, I'm sure, in that when we were children, Christmas really was magic. It was presents, there was toys, it was love, there was good food, right? The Christmas tree, the presents materializing out of thin air on Christmas morning. You know, all of that stuff was wonderful and amazing, and there wasn't even really a need to question, you know, the validity of Santa or his workshop or his elves or anything like that. That we could just be happy with the products of that. And when we get older, we get a little more cynical. You know, we realize that it wasn't Santa, you know, it was our parents, and that, you know, maybe they, in an effort to make our days a little bit better, they might have stretched themselves a little too far and caused different problems down the road, right? Spent a little bit too much on Christmas. You know, maybe they missed work when they should have been or whatever, whatever it is. But you know, as I got older, I came to realize that you know, Santa Claus is very real. I learned about Saint Nicholas, who, you know, he's a Christian saint and he's a patron saint of toy making, actually. So
It's a neat story. Yeah.
yeah, so like, you know, you get through this like fantasy world of childhood, you come through this like cynical realism of adulthood, and then somewhere out there is the real truth that is the foundation of that. And I think that, you know, these conversations are the way to get there. Being productive, being genuine, you know, being open. Because you know, I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was a little suspicious of your motivations, which is why I sat for so long. But well, I was very pleased to discover that you two are in fact very genuine guys, and I will definitely be checking out your content in the future.
Much appreciated there. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thank you again for letting me come on.
Yeah. Thanks for coming up.
Yeah, thank you. And we have Chase.